Destroy your weak self. Opening hook first 10 seconds. You're not weak by nature. You're weak by choice. Every single day, you're choosing to stay small. You're choosing comfort over growth. You're choosing safety over strength. And the worst part? You've convinced yourself this is normal. It's not. The weak version of you is a choice you're making repeatedly. But today, that changes. Today, we're destroying that version. Today, you start building someone unbreakable. If you're ready to stop being soft, stop being average, stop being a victim of your own fear, watch this entire video. This is how you become someone dangerous. Smash that subscribe button if you're done being weak. Let's go. Point 1. Identify the weak version of you. 1.1 The weak self is real, and you're living as it right now. Here's the brutal truth nobody wants to hear. You have two versions of yourself living inside you right now. The weak version and the strong version. The weak version is the one that's been running your life. The weak version is the one that makes excuses. The weak version is the one that quits when things get hard. The weak version is the one that cares what people think. The weak version is the one that stays in bed instead of pursuing dreams. The weak version is the one that numbs pain instead of facing it. And right now, the weak version is winning. This isn't about being negative. This isn't about self-criticism. This is about being honest. Most people never acknowledge they have a weak version. Most people never name it. Most people just live as that version unconsciously. They go through life wondering why they're not progressing, why they're not happy, why they're not becoming who they want to be. The answer is simple: the weak version is in control. And until you see that, until you name that, until you decide to destroy that version, nothing will change. The weak version shows up when someone criticizes you and you immediately doubt yourself. The weak version shows up when you have an opportunity and you talk yourself out of it. The weak version shows up when you're tired and you skip the workout you committed to. The weak version shows up when you're afraid and you run instead of standing your ground. The weak version shows up constantly. And most people never notice because they've normalized weakness. Right now, I want you to look at your life. Your relationships. Your career. Your body. Your mind. The weak version of you created this. The weak version made the choices that led to where you are. And if you're not satisfied with where you are, the weak version has to go. View hook. The version of you that's been sabotaging your entire life. 1.2 How your weak self was created. You weren't born weak. Nobody is born weak. You were born with infinite potential. But somewhere along the way, something happened. Maybe someone told you that you couldn't do something and you believed them. Maybe you failed at something and instead of seeing it as data, you saw it as proof that you were incapable. Maybe you experienced rejection and instead of understanding that rejection is part of life, you decided you weren't good enough. Maybe you were raised in an environment where comfort was prioritized over growth, and you learned to seek safety instead of challenge. Your weak self was created by the stories you believed about yourself. It was created by the limits other people placed on you that you accepted. It was created by the pain you didn't process, so you ran from it instead. It was created by the compromises you made because you were afraid. It was created by the times you stayed silent when you should have spoken. It was created by the moments you chose comfort when you should have chosen growth. And here's the thing, that creation was unconscious. You didn't choose it deliberately. You didn't wake up one day and decide to be weak. It happened gradually. It happened through 1,000 small decisions where you chose the path of least resistance. You chose the safe option. You chose the comfortable option. You chose the option that wouldn't result in judgment, or failure or pain. And those 1,000 small choices added up to create a weak version of you. But here's the beautiful part. If weakness was created by your choices, strength can be created by your choices too. If your weak self was built through unconscious decisions, your strong self can be built through deliberate ones. The same mechanism that created weakness can create strength. You just have to become conscious and intentional about it. View hook. The moment you realize your weakness was always a choice. 1.3 The weak self's greatest weapons. Your weak self has weapons. It uses these weapons against you every single day. The first weapon is rationalization. Your weak self is incredibly good at creating reasons why you can't do something. I'm too tired. I don't have time. Things are different for me. I'll do it tomorrow. I'm not the type of person who. Your weak self spends all day creating stories about why failure is acceptable. And you believe these stories because you want to believe them. Belief requires that you don't have to change. The second weapon is distraction. Your weak self knows that if you focus on growth, you'll change. So it distracts you. It tells you to check your phone. It tells you to watch one more video. It tells you to handle one more thing before you do the important thing. It keeps you busy without moving you forward. It keeps you occupied without making progress. And the days pass and nothing changes and you wonder why. The third weapon is victim mentality. Your weak self convinces you that you're a victim of circumstances. You're a victim of your past. You're a victim of other people. You're a victim of bad luck. You're a victim of your genetics. And victims don't have to take responsibility. Victims can complain. Victims can blame. Victims can stay small. As long as you're a victim, you're safe from the responsibility of growth. The fourth weapon is comparison. Your weak self loves comparison because comparison makes mediocrity feel acceptable. At least I'm better than him. At least I'm doing better than she is. Your weak self doesn't want you comparing yourself to who you could be. It wants you comparing yourself to people you're already ahead of. That way you feel okay about staying small. The fifth weapon is comfort. Your weak self loves comfort more than anything. It will do anything to keep you comfortable. And comfort is the enemy of growth. Comfort is where dreams go to die. Your weak self wraps you in comfort like a blanket and tells you everything's fine and you fall asleep and years pass and you never become who you wanted to be. View hook. The 5 weapons your weak self uses to keep you small. Point 2. Understand that destroying weakness requires violence. 2.1 You need to be aggressive with your own growth. There's no gentle path to strength. There's no easy way to destroy your weak self. You need to be aggressive. You need to be ruthless. You need to be willing to do things that feel uncomfortable. You need to be willing to fail. You need to be willing to look stupid. You need to be willing to be criticized. You need to be willing to go against what feels natural and safe. This is not a gentle process. Strength is not built gently. Your weak self doesn't want to be destroyed. It's comfortable. It's familiar. It's safe. So it's going to fight you. It's going to tell you to stop. It's going to tell you that change is too hard. It's going to tell you that you're fine the way you are. It's going to tell you to rest instead of push. And if you're not aggressive, if you're not violent in your pursuit of strength, you'll listen to it. And your weak self will continue running your life. Look at the people who've actually become strong. Look at the athletes who built championship mindsets. Look at the entrepreneurs who built empires. Look at the leaders who moved nations. Do you think they were gentle with themselves? Do you think they took it easy? Do you think they were comfortable? No. They were aggressive. They pushed. They refused to accept mediocrity. They were willing to suffer for their growth. They understood that comfort was the enemy, and they attacked it relentlessly. You need that same aggression. Not toward other people. Toward yourself. Toward your own weakness. Toward your own comfort. You need to attack your excuses. You need to destroy your rationalizations. You need to obliterate your victim mentality. You need to be ruthless with your own growth. The weak version of you is not going anywhere unless you force it out. And forcing requires violence. View hook. The aggressive truth about becoming strong. Point 4. Build your mental fortress. 4.1 Your mind is either your greatest asset or your greatest enemy. Your mind is the most powerful tool you have. Your mind can either destroy you or save you. Right now, your weak self has control of your mind. Your weak self is running the show. Your weak self is telling you stories about who you are and what you're capable of. And you believe those stories because they're coming from inside your own head. But here's the truth: you have the power to take control of your mind. You have the power to rewrite those stories. You have the power to reprogram your thinking. Most people never do this. Most people just accept the thoughts that come into their head as truth. But a thought is not truth. A thought is just something your brain produced. And if your brain produced a weak thought, you can produce a strong thought instead. This is the foundation of destroying your weak self, taking control of your mind. Building a mental fortress where weak thoughts can't survive. Building a thought pattern that's so strong, so relentless, so unmovable that weakness can't penetrate it. Your weak self lives in your mind. It exists in your thoughts. If you can change your thoughts, you can destroy your weak self. The way you do this is through deliberate thought control. Every time a weak thought comes up, I can't do this, I'm not good enough, I should give up, you intercept it. You recognize it for what it is, a weak thought. And you replace it with a strong thought. I can do hard things. I've done them before. I'm getting stronger. I'm going to keep pushing. This feels fake at first. It feels like lying to yourself. But you're not lying. You're telling yourself the truth. The weak thought was the lie. View hook. The mental fortress that destroys weakness from the inside. 4.2 Discipline is your greatest weapon. Discipline is what separates the strong from the weak. Discipline is what separates the people who achieve their goals from the people who talk about achieving their goals. Discipline is what separates the people who become who they want to be from the people who stay who they are. Weak people don't have discipline. They have motivation. And motivation comes and goes. Motivation is unreliable. Motivation is weak. Strong people have discipline. Discipline doesn't depend on how you feel. Discipline is the decision to do something regardless of how you feel. Discipline is waking up early even when you want to sleep. Discipline is working out even when you want to rest. Discipline is doing the thing you committed to doing even when it's hard. Discipline is the muscle that holds everything together when everything else falls apart. Your weak self is counting on motivation. Your weak self wants you to only do things when you feel like it. Your weak self wants you to rest when you're tired. Your weak self wants you to quit when things get hard. Your weak self knows that if you develop discipline, it's finished. Discipline is the kryptonite of weakness. Every time you do something through discipline instead of motivation, you're destroying your weak self. Every time you follow through on a commitment even when you don't feel like it, you're proving to yourself that you're strong. Build discipline by doing small things. Wake up on time. Do your workout. Keep your word. Show up when you said you'd show up. Do the thing you said you'd do. Keep these small commitments to yourself and your discipline grows. Your weak self shrinks. Your strong self grows. Day by day. Choice by choice. Discipline by discipline. View hook. Why discipline is the true measure of strength. Point 5. Destroy the victim mentality. 5.1 Victims never become strong. The victim mentality is the death of strength. As long as you believe you're a victim of circumstances, as long as you believe you're a victim of your past, as long as you believe you're a victim of other people, you will never be strong. Victims don't take responsibility. Victims blame. Victims complain. Victims stay small. And the world doesn't owe victims anything. But here's the truth, you're not a victim. You might have experienced difficult things. You might have experienced injustice. You might have been hurt. But you're not a victim unless you decide to be. Victim is a choice. And if you choose victim, you're choosing weakness. You're giving all your power away to the people and circumstances you blame. You're saying, because of them, I can't grow. Because of them, I'm stuck. Because of them, I'm small. But that's a lie. You're not stuck because of anyone else. You're stuck because of the story you're telling yourself. You're small because you keep choosing small. You're weak because you keep choosing weakness. And the moment you stop being a victim and start being responsible, everything changes. The moment you say, I created this situation, and I can create a different one, you become powerful. The moment you stop blaming and start taking action, you become unstoppable. Your weak self loves the victim mentality because it's safe. It's comfortable. It doesn't require change. It doesn't require you to do anything. You just get to complain and blame and stay small. But if you want to be strong, you have to destroy the victim mentality completely. You have to take responsibility for your life. All of it. The good and the bad. You have to accept that you created where you are through your choices, and you can create somewhere different through different choices. View hook. The belief that's keeping you small and powerless. 5.2 Taking radical responsibility. Radical responsibility means you take responsibility for everything in your life. Not because everything is your fault, but because accepting responsibility is the only way to get power back. If something is someone else's fault, you can't change it. If something is circumstances' fault, you can't change it. But if something is your responsibility, you can change it. You have power over your own choices. And that's where change begins. This is the bridge between victim and powerful. This is the choice that separates people who transform their lives from people who stay stuck. The moment you stop blaming and start taking responsibility, you become powerful. The moment you stop waiting for circumstances to change and start changing your response to them, you become powerful. The moment you stop waiting for other people to fix things and start fixing them yourself, you become powerful. Your weak self does not want you taking radical responsibility. Your weak self wants you to blame. Your weak self wants you to complain. Your weak self wants you to wait for someone else to save you. Because as long as you're waiting, as long as you're blaming, as long as you're playing victim, you're not growing. You're not changing. You're not becoming strong. Take responsibility for your health. Take responsibility for your career. Take responsibility for your relationships. Take responsibility for your mindset. Take responsibility for your choices. Take responsibility for your life. And as you do, you'll feel power flowing back into you. The power to change. The power to grow. The power to become who you want to be. That's what happens when you destroy the victim mentality.